Radhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 26, text 23-24. Mahat Tattvad Vikurvanad Bhagavad Virya Sambhavad Kriya Shaktir Ahankaras Trivida Samapadyata Vaikarikas Tejasascha Tamasascha Yato Bhavaha Manasaschendriyanam Cha Bhutanam Mahatam Api. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The material ego springs up from the Mahatattva, which evolved from the Lord's own energy. The material ego is endowed predominantly with the active power of three kinds: goodness, passionate, and ignorant. It is from these three types of material ego that the mind, the senses of perception, the organs of action, and the gross elements evolve. So yesterday we were hearing that the very first creation in the material world is the Mahatattva, which is the pure consciousness. And it is the pure consciousness, the Vasudev stage at which one can actually understand the Supreme Lord. Now, the second creation that is happening is the Ahankar, the material ego. And then this material ego, the false ego, when it is mixed with goodness, passion, and ignorance, that mind is created, the senses of perception is created, and the gross elements are created. So step by step, how the creation is happening is being repeated again. We read about this in second canto. Now we are hearing about it again so that we can understand it a little bit more better. In the beginning, from clear consciousness or the pure state of Krishna consciousness, the first contamination sprang up. This is called false ego, or identification of the body as self. The living entity exists in the natural state of Krishna consciousness, but he has marginal independence, and this allows him to forget Krishna. Originally, pure Krishna consciousness exists, but because of misuse of marginal independence, there is a chance of forgetting Krishna. This is exhibited in actual life. There are many instances in which someone acting in Krishna consciousness suddenly changes. In the Upanishads, it is therefore stated that the path of spiritual realization is just like the sharp edge of a razor. The example is very appropriate. One shaves his cheeks with a sharp razor very nicely, but as soon as his attention is diverted from the activity, he immediately cuts his cheek because he mishandles the razor. So we, the soul, we have pure consciousness. Now, why do we forget Krishna? Our natural state is Krishna consciousness. That's our natural state. Then, why do we forget Krishna? We have forgotten Krishna, that's why we are in the material world. Why does it happen? Anyone?
Because of the desires?
Yeah, because, yes, that's right. Because we have this marginal independence. You know, we have this choice. So, do I want Krishna or do I want to forget him? So, yeah. So then not only one must come to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness, but one must also be very careful. Any inattentiveness or carelessness may cause fall down. So one may reach the position of Krishna consciousness, but still the Upanishads say that one must be careful because at any moment we can forget Krishna. We can choose to forget Krishna, as you rightly said, because of our desires. So that's why it's compared to a sharp edge of a razor, spiritual life. Sharp edge of a razor. As long as we are paying attention, it's good. The razor can very nicely help us shave. But as soon as inattention will cut. So this fall down is due to cause of false ego. From the status of pure consciousness, the false ego is born because of misuse of independence. We cannot argue about why false ego arises from pure consciousness. Factually, there's always the chance that this will happen, and therefore one has to be very careful. So one may say, oh, but why from pure consciousness suddenly one got a false ego? But because we have the independence, we have that. So false ego is the basic principle for all material activities which are executed in the modes of material nature. As soon as one deviates from pure Krishna consciousness, he increases his entanglement in material reaction. The entanglement of materialism is the material mind. And from this material mind, the senses, the material organs become manifest. So the first thing is the false ego. The false ego means forgetfulness of Krishna. I am independent of Krishna. I'm independent of Krishna. That's false ego. Then now the false ego, with the help of the mind, what happens? With the mind, we create so many more and more desires, more and more desires. And we continue to stay here in this material world. So, and then from the mind, we'll the senses, sense organs, everything is created one after another. So first the Mahatattva is created, then the false ego is created, then the mind is created, then the senses are created, then the sense organs become manifest. Okay, reading on. Sahasras Shirasam Sakshad Yam Anantam Prachakshate Sankarshanakhyam Purusham Bhutendriya Manomayam. The threefold Ahankar, the source of the gross elements, the senses and the mind, is identical with them because it is their cause. It is known by the name of Sankarshan, who is directly Lord Ananta with 1,000 heads. So Ananta, Lord Sankarshan, is the Ananta Dev. He has thousands of heads, 1,000 heads. And he is an expansion of Balaramji. And then what is that? The threefold Ahankar. So the Ahankar, which has the goodness, passion, and ignorance, is the source of the gross elements, the senses, and the mind is identical with them because it is their cause. So the false ego is known by the name Sankarshan. So yesterday we were reading that Sankarshan, he's the predominating deity of the false ego. He's the predominating deity of the false ego, and the gross element, senses, mind, everything is coming from this false ego by the interaction of modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah. So see, there's the same thing repeating here also, and it makes more understandable from Caitanya Caritamrta, right?
That's right.
Yesterday.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So kartratvam karanatvam cha karyatvam cheti lakshanam shanta gora vimudhatvam iti va syat ahankritehe. This false ego is characterized as the doer, as an instrument, as an if, and as an effect. It is further characterized as serene, active, or dull, according to how it is influenced by the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Ahankar, or false ego, is transformed into the demigods, the controlling directors of material affairs. As an instrument, the false ego is represented as different senses and sense organs, and as the result of the combination of the demigods and the senses, material objects are produced. So this, as we had read in the second canto also, how one by one the creation is happening. Mahatattva, then the false ego. Then false ego gets agitated in the mode of goodness, then it gets agitated in the mode of passion, gets agitated in the mode of ignorance, and everything is produced. The mind, the senses, the organs, the demigods, everyone produced by the different combinations of the modes of nature with the false ego. In the material world, we are producing so many things, and this is called advancement of civilization. But factually, the advancement of civilization is a manifestation of the false ego. By false ego, all material things are produced as objects of enjoyment. One has to cease increasing artificial necessities in the form of material objects. So the first material thing that is created is the false ego. And everything is coming from this. Everything. So the false ego is also an element. It is an element. It's really subtle, so we can't see it. But it is an element. And by the different combination of goodness, passion, and ignorance, different things are produced from this false ego. The mind is produced, the demigods are produced, the senses are produced, the sense objects are produced, the gross elements are produced. So anything that we are seeing in the material world is coming from this false ego. One great Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, has lamented that when one deviates from pure consciousness of Vasudev or Krishna consciousness, he becomes entangled in material activities. The exact words he uses are Satsanga chari kainu asate vilas te karane lagila ye karma bandha fas. I have given up the pure status of consciousness because I wanted to enjoy in the temporary material manifestation. Therefore, I've been entangled in the network of actions and reactions. Haridas Thakur, he's a wonderful Vaishnavacharya in our line. He's composed many, many wonderful songs and kirtan bhajans. And one of this song he's writing, so he's taking our position. He's a liberated personality, you know. He's a pure devotee, but he's taking our position and showing, I have given up the pure status of consciousness. Why? Because I wanted to enjoy in the temporary material manifestation. So that is our position. We have given our permanent position and taken up this activities here in the temporary material world because we want to enjoy separate from Krishna. So we have given up our pure consciousness and embraced this temporary material consciousness. Therefore, I have been entangled in the network of actions and reactions. Because of this, we have been caught in the laws of karma, acting, reacting, all under the modes of nature. Vaikarikad vikurvanan manastatvam ajayata yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam vartate kama sambhavaha. From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. So false ego, when it's agitated with the mode of goodness, the mind is created. So the false ego is more subtle than the mind, even more, because that's the first material thing it's created. So it's the most subtlest of all the material things. Mahatattva is there, then the first is false ego, then it comes the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. So all these desires, feelings, because of our feelings and our thoughts, then we get more and more desires. The symptoms of the mind are determination and rejection. So to accept and to reject, which are due to different kinds of desires. We desire that which is favorable to our sense gratification, and we reject that which is not favorable to sense gratification. So what our mind keeps on telling us is, oh, I'm going to enjoy with this situation or like this, so this is very good. Or this situation I'm not going to enjoy, so this is not very good. The material mind is not fixed, but the very same mind can be fixed when engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness.
Sorry.
So the mind is, I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
Could you explain this part? From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. An example, is it a demigod? Is manifest.
The mind is being created right now.
But
from this
false
false ego
of goodness.
Yeah, so the false ego, when it's mixed with the mode of goodness, then the mind is created.
But isn't the mind, in fact, it can make you fall also, right?
That's right. But it's coming from this mode of goodness. Yes. Yes, even it feels, oh, how come the mind is such a devil and this and that? Yeah, but it's created with the agitation of the mode of goodness with the false ego.
Yeah. Because it says here, so whose thoughts and reflections give rise
to desire. So it feels like passion, right? More like passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that, right? Yeah, but it's in the mode
Actually,
of
I think that they're trying to tell is that the mind itself is pure. Is it?
The mind is the function. The function of the mind is to accept and to reject. That's what the mind is always doing. So as we have been reading in Bhagavad Gita, the mind, we can use it as our enemy or as our friend. Depends on how do we use it.
Correct.
So if we fix it on Krishna, then it becomes our friend.
Yeah.
And if we entangle in the material things, then it is our enemy.
Yeah. This is exactly what we are reading now. We're going to read.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So the material mind is not fixed, but this very same mind can be fixed when engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, as long as the mind is on the material platform, it is hovering, and all this rejection and acceptance is asat, temporary. So what happens is our mind makes us so engrossed in a situation, so engrossed in our life. Oh, this is not a good situation for me. Let me work in such a way so that the situation becomes favorable and in which I can enjoy more. And then, oh, I'm enjoying so much. Let me work in such a way that the situation does not change. So that's what the mind is keeping us busy with, in accepting and rejecting this temporary situation. But actually, the mind can the mind can rest only in Krishna. Only when we fix the mind on Krishna can it actually find its true peace. And it is this mind that, when we fix it on Krishna, can help us to get out of this material world. It is stated that he whose mind is not fixed in Krishna consciousness must hover between acceptance and rejection. However advanced a man is in academic qualifications, as long as he's not fixed in Krishna consciousness, he will simply accept and reject and will never be able to fix his mind on a particular subject matter. So that's the reason Krishna tells to Arjuna, hey Arjun, first you fix your mind on me and then you do your duty. So what happens is, when we fix the mind on Krishna, then it helps us to get detached from this material world. Otherwise, we are too attached and we are thinking, oh yes, this is a good situation for me, I will enjoy. Oh, so I like this situation. Oh, this is not a good situation for me because I'm not going to enjoy, so I don't like the situation. And the mind just keeps us occupied in this. But if we practice to fix it on Krishna, then with the same mind, we can get out of this material world. Yeah. So our desires can change also. Our desires will change also.
If we fix our mind on Krishna, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Gradually, the desires will also change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember, I just wanted to share this, that previously I used to listen to the Bollywood songs, maybe they were of the Mukesh or the older eras, and I used to enjoy. But now, like as we have started, like I'm looking for more bhajans to, you know, play while I'm cooking, and I look for more Vaishnav bhajans like from Narottam Das Thakur or what Amrendra Prabhu is. So like that's what, how you saying this, then I just felt that how the change comes. Previously the movies used to attract, but then now I think okay, अगर फोन में है तो 5 मिनट पढ़ ही लो, अगर ऐसा है तो कुछ देखने से बेटर है पढ़ लो, रीड कर लो उतना देर. But then yes, you can't let the people around you get impacted by it, because they might also think, what is this suddenly? And they think, it is not that they will think, but they think, and it is very natural. They have seen this person who has been so crazy about things, and then suddenly when you see this person doing differently, reacting differently, then yes, it is shock for them. But I think this is Krishna consciousness.
No, and at times they mock you also.
Yeah, so but then I think it's okay. कम से कम अरे हरे कृष्णा कर रही हूँ, वो भगवान का नाम तो ले रहे हैं उसमें, कोई बात नहीं, mock करने में ही it's okay. What can we do?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't leave Krishna for them.
Because they don't know, no?
Yeah, that's why we should just pray for them कि Krishna, I mean, आप वो भी आपसे इतना प्यार कर पाए. That's what we can do. We can't do anything. It really doesn't matter at some times कि फिर लोग क्या बोल रहे हैं और क्या सोच रहे हैं. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's true. Right? Yeah, thank
because
you.
Because we know that Krishna is there for us. Like I was reading the first canto, 17th chapter, it was about Maharaj Parikshit. Like how gracefully he accepted what came to him. Otherwise, he could have repelled. It was death. It's not an easy thing to accept. It was death. He knew, and how nicely he accepted that. Yes, why should I change? It's Krishna's will. When Krishna saved me in the womb, if he wanted, he could have saved me now. It's not a big thing for him. So even our reversals are from Krishna. So we should accept it gracefully and thank him for that. Like it was such a beautiful lesson. When we just think and ponder about it, like for some, if we just feel, then we feel that every word from Srimad Bhagavatam has so much meaning. They're not just saying it for the sake of saying. So it was really heart-touching, and that we don't accept, and we say, Krishna, why me, why me? But we should thank, I think. We should start thanking even for the reversals, because they are good. They are for our good. We don't know.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's true. Should try to see the hand of Krishna in every situation. Yeah. Very good. Narayana Parayana, right?
Yeah.
Parikshit Maharaj.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surrendered, fixed to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, always fixed, completely surrendered. Yeah, very good.
And then there is also, you mentioned the word surrender. There was also this, that he could have killed Kali, Kalyug, but he did not, because he surrendered on his feet. Just as Krishna, he accepts the person who surrenders no matter how sinful we are. And we all are sinful. But Krishna accepts us. So he was a Mahatma, like he was a pure soul, Parikshit Maharaj, that he did not kill Kali at that moment. And he accepted because he surrendered. So whoever takes your shelter, you cannot kill that person. Like how Krishna also never kills one who takes surrender, one who surrenders to Krishna. Krishna always take care and just wash away all his sins once we surrender, no matter how sinful we are.
Yeah. So Parikshit Maharaj is an exemplary king. He showed how a leader should be. And also he knew it's the will of Krishna that Kali has to come. Yeah. He looked at it as the will of Krishna that Kali has to come and has to do his duty. You know?
And then there was, and then there was one more point in this, then how beautifully he did not like he gave places to Kali, but then he strengthened those things in his kingdom. Like he started more, like what the 4 limbs were missing, the 4, he strengthened them. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah, because Kali asked, give me a place to stay in your kingdom. So Parikshit Maharaj said, okay, you can stay in the slaughterhouses. You can stay in gambling houses. You can stay where there's prostitution. And you can stay in the places where alcohol is, intoxication. And then these places, then Kali said, but there's nothing like this going on in your kingdom, you know, where will I stay? Then Parikshit Maharaj said, okay, you also stay in gold. You stay in gold also. So yeah, how the devotees are, I'm sorry, yes?
No, yeah, you were saying correct. And then how beautifully he strengthened those 4 missing legs, which he thought that the bull was missing. So like he just went straight and he started strengthening all those things. He started, then the Naimisharanyas, rishis, they did yagya for 1000 years. So how was it possible if Maharaj Parikshit wouldn't have strengthened all that in his kingdom for them? So like, I think that how every thread is connected, how he was so thoughtful, how visionary he was, that he immediately went. And now that's why how late the Kali Yuga came in India. We were still in the shelter. We were still so safe. People were so like divorce. Now we hear divorce. Until 2 or 3 years back, there were none people. They were like, nobody would divorce. They would accept, they would tolerate, they would accept it as that, yes, I also have faults. She also have faults. So it's okay. We'll cooperate and work on it. So the tolerance level has gone down. But like, that lesson is really, really like how you read Parikshit Maharaj. Wow, it was really beautiful.
Jai. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and we need to learn from his example. How is he reacting in that time of reversal, as you rightly said? Because we will be faced, each of us are going to be faced with reversals, and at one point we will be faced with death. So that's the reason Bhagavatam is so important for each and every living entity. Because each of us are going to face death at some moment or the other. Thank you. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for listening and enjoying it.
I'm sorry for taking the time.
Oh no, it was so good. Thank you. Thank you. Always good to reflect and to share realizations. That's how we learn from each other. Oh, thank you. Thank you.